Hi, hello, I'm making a video. No, it's not TF2 related, just bear with me, I swear. It's good, I swear. I just want to clarify, this video is not going to be anything related to how video game music is made, nor is this going to be a video about if music in video games is valid or actual music. I'm not here to talk about that. What this is going to be is a neurodivergent rant on stuff I just like. We are absolutely done with negativity on this channel. I only want to talk about stuff that makes me happy, and what makes me happy is video game music, because damn if some of this stuff isn't used well. So let's get started, shall we? Setting the tone of your game is really important. You want to introduce a player to your universe and your game and the setting as fast as possible, in my opinion. And I think no better game does this than Metal Gear Rising. This game is an absolute roller coaster, and if you've ever played the game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Raiden is a protagonist like no other. You are ridiculously overpowered in this game, and not like other games where you take down a million different enemies in one sitting and then your character goes, wait a minute guys, I think killing's wrong. Raiden takes note of how many people he kills in this game and is ridiculously overpowered to compensate for that. Even if you've only seen the game for memes, you know for a fact that Raiden does some crazy shit in this game. Not just in regular combat, but also in a bunch of cutscenes, especially in boss battles, where he'll be doing some shit like, sure, I'll just cut this robot's arm off that's 20 million times bigger than me and use it as a sword against itself just to cut it in half. But in spite of all this, players aren't surprised when the game does outlandish shit like this, because the game set a really good tone right at the start of the game. Which brings me onto the song we'll be talking about, Rules of Nature. The first boss of this game, and I just want to repeat that the first boss, has the song Rules of Nature being played behind it. Now this song talks about nature and the idea of a predator and prey. The song goes on to explain that the rules of nature and the law of the wild is that predators will do anything to catch their prey in order to live. It's a good scene that surrounds a lot of the characters in the game, the idea that they're just doing what they think is right. However, the boss that you're fighting while this is playing is this big old motherfucker. This beast that's like 20 times Raiden's size and you can only attack the legs of. You're certainly doing damage to the boss, but it doesn't feel very impactful in the grander scheme of, you know, I need this thing dead. And so you might interpret the song as, oh, Raiden's the prey in this song. He's the one that's, you know, trying to survive no matter what. But as the game will very much be willing to show you, there is a prey in this fight, and it sure as hell isn't you! From this point onwards, there is literally no surprise that the game could throw at you that you think's unrealistic. This game is very much saying, hey, you're overpowered. Kick everyone's ass, please. So now that we've introduced the tone of a game, what if instead we wanted to show the tone of a single scene or a single moment? And I've already got a game in mind that demonstrates this perfectly. Yep, wake up T-Girl, we're talking about it. I don't think I can really add anything onto the conversation of Ultrakill that hasn't already been said. This game's ridiculous. The gunplay, the movement, the enemy variety, the level variety, everything. The fact that this game is made by such a small development team is ridiculous considering its quality. For the two people watching this video that are unaware, Ultrakill is a game about you playing a robot and then you go to hell and then you kill everything. That's it. Don't think about it too hard. We're not doing a lore analysis, even though I love that shit. The only thing you really need to remember is that we are fighting hell itself and that hell is a living entity. At the end of each level, you'll get a rating depending on how many enemies you killed, how fast you did it, and how stylish you were. Bringing these all to max will result in a P rank. Outside of bragging rights and a spot on the leaderboard, you'll be able to use these P ranks to unlock a secret door in certain levels. These allow you to fight bosses known as Prime Souls, which is probably the hardest bosses the game has on offer. It's a good reward for people that have already mastered the systems and want to go even further. Now, when the first Prime Soul was added, Minos, it was already an expertly crafted boss fight that really put all the player's skills to the test. So naturally, when we got to the end of Act 2, we expected another Prime Soul, and after a short wait, we got it. However, this Prime Soul was a little bit different. Unlike the straight boss fight that we were treated to in P1, this was an amp up in intensity, we'll say. So yes, after the jump scare of 4 Cerberuses and a ferryman, you'll slowly start to realise P2 is not a boss. P2's a level. This is the weight of the world, and your skills will be tested to the max like none other. You'll be fighting enemies that are invincible, you'll be fighting enemies that used to be bosses, you'll be fighting enemies in a massive room with turrets that auto-lock on and will one-shot you if you don't respect them, and I know I'm sounding like I'm talking like it's bad, but it's genuinely a good game mechanic. All accompanied by the most violent music this game has ever put forward. It's a theme that's so loud and so overbearing that you can't concentrate as there's a million things coming at you from all directions, sight, sound. It's insane, I love it. This is probably the closest we get to fighting hell itself in this game. And we're not going down without a fight! Oh yeah, by the way, it's not just a level, there's a guy at the end of this, Sisyphus, man with the big rock, you understand? Yes, I died to it a million times, we're not talking about him. So, we've talked about how music sets the tone for an entire game, and how we can elevate certain scenes to make those moments feel more impactful. However, we haven't talked about the thing games use music for mostly, which is character themes. Now, I think the best game genre to talk about when it comes to character themes are fighting games, because they are probably the best at saying, hey, this is a character, this is what they should sound like. Now, there's multiple fighting games I could talk about during this segment, but I want to talk about one that did something interesting. Let's talk about Street Fighter 6. Now, it's relatively easy for a character's theme to tell you about them if that character falls into a standard fighting game archetype. For example, if the character is giant and is going to beat the shit out of you for the entire game, you crank up the bass to maximum and you put a massively marching drum beat throughout the entire track. You see this character and go, oh, I really don't want to get caught in the corner by this motherfucker. Or if the character's evil, you put a bunch of horns in their theme, put them in minor key, and then you go, oh, this is a real bad guy, oh. But how can a character's theme talk about their gameplay if their gameplay isn't necessarily a standard trope? Well, you end up with someone like Jamie. Jamie's an interesting character because the amount of moves at his disposal is actually lower than most other characters. He has to unlock his moves as a fight goes on. The way he does this is by drinking his special herbal tea, which is not alcohol. Definitely not alcohol. Definitely not Way of the Drunken Master. And while this mechanic is interesting, it's also a key part of his gameplay, as Jamie's base kit is one of the weakest characters in the game. The issue is, you can't just stand in front of someone and start drinking, because they'll just, punch you in the face. Now, what you want to do is take a drink every time you knock your opponent down. However, if you play fighting games, you'll know why this isn't exactly the best strategy. In fighting games, there's a thing called Oki. What this basically means is when you knock your opponent on the ground, you want to keep playing aggressively to essentially make it still your turn. Basically, if you can keep your opponent blocking, that's really good, because if they're blocking, they're not punching you. And if they don't block, congratulations, you're punching them. The issue is, Jamie has to drop Oki every time he wants to get a drink if he gets a hard knockdown. So what you'll find is that you keep getting reset back to neutral every time you try and take a drink. And guess what? The theme reflects this. Jamie's theme twice has you build up to what would essentially be in music terms the beat drop, and then drops to absolutely nothing, essentially resetting the theme back to the build up. Take a listen to this. And it's woven into his gameplay, the idea that you have to keep building up and doing these really impressive trades and then dropping Oki completely, going back to neutral, it shows it in the theme. Now, what you might be thinking is, wait, what if you get all the moves unlocked, what happens then? Well, much like the theme suggests, we finally stop dropping the beat and, well, when we got all of our moves and Jamie's drunk as fuck, it's time to party! I can't believe there's two characters in this game that solely revolve around music, and they have more tame themes than Jamie. It's whatever, man. Now, Street Fighter is brilliant for talking about characters' gameplay during their themes, but I don't think it necessarily does a good job at talking about a character's story. This may be due to a lack of lyrics, so I can't really fault Street Fighter on that, but one game that does have lyrics in their themes and does a brilliant job at telling you about a character is... Oh, Guilty Gear, where do I start with you? The entire game is inspired by Western music, with a multitude of references both in the characters and the musical themes, some being subtle, such as Soul Bad Guy's name being Frederick, which is a reference to Freddie Mercury, and some not so subtle, like Faust's theme having a section of Radiohead in it. I can't play it for obvious reasons, but it's literally Radiohead, no surprises, like it just is that theme. Strive has far too many themes in it for me to talk about in one video. Genuinely, this game is an absolute masterpiece in music. So I'm going to be a bit brief with my examples, but I do encourage you to listen to the soundtrack. Leo's theme is aggressive, coming across more as a mask to his PTSD, which is also described in the song. Baiken's theme is the only one that uses Japanese, because being Japanese is the most important to this character, despite the fact that she's not the only one. Happy Chaos's theme replies to Asuka's theme. This is because Happy Chaos is the mentor of Asuka. Bridget's theme is so on the nose that if you don't believe this character's queer, you have no media literacy.
I never wanted to run away. I was very motivated. Then what is this feeling? Who would I ask?
The pronouns in Testament's theme keep swapping because they have no gender. And May's theme is just an absolute bop, and I'm tired of lying to myself that it's not. Quick tangent, by the way. Cloud Drop is the best way to look at the songs in the Guilty Gear soundtrack with the lyrics with them, so you can understand them better. And for the video they put out for the Disaster of Passion, the one you just listened to, they keep playing this scene where Axel clotheslines May. They play it like 6 times during the video. I don't know if they just ran out of footage, but I lose my mind every time I see this because it's like, oh, look at this character. Boom! Despite being musically talented and often tied to the character they're talking about, I think Guilty Gear themes have a relatability to them that you can put nearly any meaning on, and if it's not necessarily what the character's feeling, it's still a valid way of interpreting themes. And some of my favourites when it comes to Guilty Gear soundtrack is ones that I've put my own spin on because it more relates to me. And just because this is a video about my personal preferences, I should talk about my favourite theme, but it's not in Strive, and if you follow the channel, you know exactly which one it's going to be. May as well just play it. I'm not going to talk about it, it's just a good song. Yeah, you like that? I played my outro song without doing the video end short gag. Yeah, I'm fucking different. Now, I've got one more type of character theme that I want to talk about, but let's not talk about fighting games, let's do something a bit more structured. Let's have a little chat about boss themes. And is there a better franchise to talk about when it comes to boss themes than... The reputation of this series is spread so far that you don't even need to have played the games to know what Dark Souls really is about. It's about defying odds, it's about overcoming difficult challenges, it's about fighting larger-than-life enemies. And that's just how the game goes. You fight things ridiculously bigger than you. You have fights that take place on rooftops, you have fights that take place in arenas, you're in the abyss for some of this shit. All accompanied with what I can label as simply Dark Souls music. You know the type, it's orchestral, it's big, it's booming, it's holy fuck, I'm fighting God! So naturally, when you think you've beaten the entirety of Dark Souls 1, you've fought every boss, you've been to every area, you'll probably be thinking to yourself, oh god, we're at the final boss now, this one's gonna knock your socks off, this is gonna be the biggest, grandest piece of shit you've ever seen in your entire life. As you enter the kiln of the first flame, you'll see ghostly apparitions down the staircase, followed by an entire city that seems to have been turned to ash. And there before you stands the leader of it all, Gwynn. You may sit in anticipation, waiting for this massive orchestral theme, this entire final battle that sums up the entire story. You enter his arena and... none of it. You don't have any of the major orchestral themes that you would expect in a Dark Souls game. Instead, you have this lone piano that is more somber than triumphant. And depending on how much you paid attention in the game, you realise how well it fits. This entire world is dying. It's the end of the Age of Fire. There's poison swamps, there's undead roaming everywhere. There's nothing left for this time. You slowly realise that you're fighting just an old man protecting the last thing he believed in. It feels almost cruel that you're putting him out of his misery. Really, he's only fighting you because he doesn't know what you're going to do at the end of the game, whether you're going to kindle the flame or embrace the Age of Darkness. And as your final strike connects with Gwynn, nothing. Dead silence. It's haunting, almost. This level of subversion is something FromSoft is really good at, and I think only enhanced my final fight in Dark Souls. And it's not the last time FromSoft would come out with some extremely good thematic music. In fact, there's one game that I've been very much obsessed with, basically all of last year, and it's going to be the final game we talk about. So, let's talk about it, shall we? This game's an absolute roller coaster, and the segment I'm giving it in this video will never do it justice. As I've said earlier, it's my favourite game of last year. It really doesn't compare. I absolutely love this game. I love the setting, I love the gameplay, I love the different take on how alien races work. I like the fact that you can customize your AC. I like the fact that there's a secret ending. I like the fact that basically everyone has recognizable parts because the entire game is about corporations, so you can actually tell something about an AC just by looking at its parts and going, hey, these parts are squared, so it's probably someone that Balaam employs. Like, it's crazy. But let's slow down, let's just put it back, and why am I talking about this last? Well, I think Armored Core has one theme in it that sums up basically everything that we've talked about in this video so far. The tone of a game, the tone of a scene, the motivations behind a character, the fact that, hey, it just sounds good. You know, it's all together in this one character. And if you've played the game, I think you know who I'm about to mention.
It looks like the guest of honor's here. Hey, buddy. I never thought I'd be rubbing shoulders with the liberator of Rubicon. Every Rubiconian who heard your cry rose up to fight. Let's show them there's a future for Rubicon beyond these scorched skies.
Rusty is one of my favourite characters in this entire game. A double agent of Arquebus secretly working for the Rubicon Liberation Front, Rusty will be your ally or your enemy depending on how you choose various parts of this game, as the fate of Rubicon truly is in your hands. His entire character is about never giving up and doing everything necessary to make sure that Rubicon lives to see another day. And while this is Rusty's theme, it really represents all of Rubicon, a fire that just won't go out. Rusty fights just as hard as us and never feels like he's overbearing or trying to one-up us. most of the game he even talks about the fact that we're just as good as him.
You're out of luck. There's only one person who can keep up with me.
And so regardless of which ending you're choosing, it's heartbreaking to find out that you either have to fight Rusty or abandon him to fight an enemy he could never beat. Although I think the emotion truly hits, and everything I've said so far is reinforced in one singular moment. When you deal what you believe is the final blow against Rusty.
I won't stop. You ready to climb the wall? Chase the clouds from over Rubicon. I've got your back, buddy. Hope you've got mine.
Before, Rusty was the first to offer his help.
I won't miss. Never thought the plan would go so wrong. But it's good teaming up with you again. Couldn't have hoped for a better silver lining. Seems both of us are too dangerous to keep around. And the higher-ups wouldn't miss an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. Slogans scrawled in ash were never going to change Rubicon. Cinders are alive with flame once more. Even with the combined might of the corporations, I couldn't stop you. But this new AC can. Once something's alive, it doesn't die easy. You have to burn every last cinder. Things will change, but I'll remember you. You flew just out of reach. Buddy.
Buddy, huh? Do him a favor, tourist. Remember him.
Thank you very much for watching. I mentioned in the intro that this isn't very structured and it was more just an autistic rant about my favourite things in games, and if it's not obvious, that's exactly what it was. I'm not done with Team Fortress 2 content, I will be picking it back up, don't worry, I just really wanted to make this video. I truly do not care if this video gets any views or not, it's just something I wanted to put out, and I think that's what makes me want to keep making videos in the first place. But I'll keep this short, you know exactly what to do at the bottom of the video if you want to support me, and with that, we'll just end it. However, we already have used Storyteller once in the video, and I don't want to use it again. So we'll do something a little bit different this time, shall we? Keep yourself safe, make sure you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!